What's good? Happy New Year. I know it's like 3 weeks into the new year, but this is my first video of the year, so it's my first opportunity to say it on YouTube. Happy New Year. Now I want to talk about why I'm going to buy Hogwarts Legacy, and I also want to talk about the controversy that surrounds this game. But before I get started on that topic, there's just two things I want to say. First things first, I've actually started a podcast. Now this is where you're going to find the most of my opinions on things. I've just started it within the past few weeks. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and other podcast sites. I'll have the link in the description below. Check it out. I've already done a podcast episode for Avatar: The Way of Water and one for the first episode of The Last of Us, and I've also done one talking about my favourite films of last year and my most anticipated this year, and I have a whole lot more episodes planned for that podcast. So like I said, link in the description. Go listen to that. I'd appreciate it. And also make sure you follow me. So say if you're using Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure you actually follow the podcast on there, because then you'll get notified of when the new episodes drop and you won't miss anything. Now the second thing I want to quickly talk about is directly related to the topic of this video, and I want to make it very clear from the start that I am an advocate for people embracing their true identity, and I completely condemn all forms of discrimination, but in particular with this topic, transphobia is the topic that I'll be discussing, and I just want to make it very clear that I condemn all forms of transphobia, and I do know that some people may use this situation as an excuse to be transphobic, and I completely condemn that, and I do not align with that whatsoever. Just want to make that very clear. Okay, so allow me to talk about Hogwarts Legacy and why I'm going to personally be buying the game. Now this is a game, of course, that is related to the Wizarding World, created by J.K. Rowling, who is someone that has received a lot of backlash in recent years for her transphobic comments. Completely understandable why she's received that backlash, but this game has now received a lot of controversy simply by being connected to her Wizarding World, even though she has no direct involvement within the game. Now, a lot of people are staging boycotts for this game, which is completely fair. I don't have anything against anyone who chooses to boycott this game. That's your personal decision. But I want to talk about a dangerous precedent that's being set with this game and with what I'm seeing online and how certain people are reacting to this whole controversy surrounding the game. Boycotting, like I said, is fine if that's what you choose to do. But judging and labeling everyone who doesn't boycott the game along with you as transphobic, or as if their views align with transphobic people, that's not okay. And that's a very problematic thing, and it's something that is becoming the norm on social media right now, especially surrounding this game. I'm seeing multiple videos and multiple tweets from people claiming they're going to boycott the game, which, like I said previously, is fine. But they're trying to force that boycott upon others, and if others reject the boycott or say that they're going to still buy the game, they're automatically labeling those people as transphobic simply for buying the game. That, like I said prior, is very problematic, and let me talk about why. Now, before I go into further detail with that, I do just want to clarify, I'm not naive. I am aware, and I don't doubt, that there is going to be a pocket of people online who are using this situation, like I said before, to spread hate and to spread transphobic hate. But that is not everyone, and you definitely can't box every person that is buying this game into that category. It's just unfair. There's a frustrating trend on social media these days where you get these social media activists who like to force their actions upon other people, and if other people don't align with their actions and don't copy and follow what they want them to, they'll then proceed to try and judge and crucify them regardless of what the individual person's actual actions have been. Now, nobody should be transphobic. That's not up for debate. But nobody is required to boycott a product if they do not want to. Therefore, nobody should be trying to force that upon people and then incorrectly labeling and generalizing them as transphobic simply because they do not want to proceed with the boycott. Now, the likelihood is this will be a hugely successful game that will sell millions upon millions of copies worldwide, and that's simply because Harry Potter is one of the most popular, successful, beloved and recognizable IPs across the world, and a game of this size and this magnitude for the Wizarding World hasn't been released since 2011. The last, if I'm not mistaken, the last video game centered around Harry Potter Wizarding World that came out was the Deathly Hallows Part 2 video game, which was over 10 years ago. And for a franchise and IP as big as Harry Potter, it's actually quite surprising that they've left it this long to capitalize by making a video game. So the fact that it's been this long is gonna be a bigger reason why this game is just gonna catch fire and sell like hotcakes. Now, I understand people's concerns with J.K. Rowling and what she said, and I understand the pushback she's received personally for her comments. But the developers of this game, Hogwarts Legacy, have been very clear from very early on that J.K. Rowling has no direct involvement within this game. So I find it quite unfair that they're then having to deal with all the negativity that's falling upon them simply because they're making a game set in the Wizarding world. And you know, these devs have worked hard. They're passionate people that have worked hard to passionately create this game for the fans, and I just don't think they deserve that type of reaction and judgment from people simply because they're making a game that they've worked hard on, that is just tied to something that J.K. Rowling created but is not directly involved in. And I also just want to point out, where was this type of boycott energy for Fantastic Beasts when that came out? You know, that is something that J.K. Rowling is directly involved in. She wrote those movies. Where was the... I didn't see this type of level of controversy and pushback for that. So I don't know why it's happening to the game. Furthermore, where is this pushback and boycott and criticism and generalization when people go to the Warner Brothers Harry Potter studio tours? I don't see it for that either. So it's quite hypocritical that when you've got certain things like the Fantastic Beasts films and the studio tours, which are more than likely lining up J.K. Rowling's pockets even more, arguably, than what this game will be doing, there's not really this boycott energy or mass pushback or overgeneralization and judgment that's falling upon innocent people. But for this video game, it's happening. And it's happening for these devs who've just, you know, poured their heart and soul for years into this game to build something that the fans will enjoy. I don't think it's that fair. Another thing I've seen people kind of ignore is, I believe it was mentioned in an interview, that there will actually be transgender options within the game's character creator, which, if that is true, is a clear declaration from the developers that they do not align with the views of J.K. Rowling. That could not be, that, you know, that's the clearest statement they could make within the game, that they do not agree with J.K. Rowling, by allowing people to create transgender individuals within the game. If they were against that, or if the developers were transphobic, they wouldn't put those options in the game. It's as simple as that. Now let me tell you why I personally am going to buy the game, regardless of all this boycott, transphobia noise that's surrounding the game and the controversy. I'm still buying the game day one. Let me tell you why. It's simply because I grew up with Harry Potter, like many others. And I believe, before I say this, what I'm about to say in terms of why I'm buying the game will apply to millions of people. We're fans of the franchise. We grew up with Harry Potter. We've waited years upon years for a video game experience like this one to express and to engage and experience that fantasy of going to Hogwarts and experiencing the school and experiencing the magic through your own created avatar. I remember playing the very first Harry Potter game on PS1, Philosopher's Stone, on PS1. I remember playing that as a kid and loving it, and the subsequent games that came out across those consoles. That's a very big nostalgic part of my childhood. Those video games and the films and the books and Harry Potter in general. And that goes for me, and that goes for millions of other people that will be buying this game and that are excited for this game. And having always wanted to play a game of this nature, to see an RPG of this magnitude finally being created for the Wizarding world, that's very exciting for fans. And that's why I expect this game to sell millions upon millions, because this is exactly what fans have wanted for so long. Fans of this franchise. So bearing in mind everything I just said and the reasons I just gave for why I'm personally buying the game and why I think millions of others will want to buy the game, was there anything wrong with what I just said? I don't think there is. Was there anything unreasonable? Was there anything offensive? There wasn't. What I'm trying to say is millions upon millions of people are going to buy this game. There's millions upon millions of fans of Harry Potter and the Wizarding World. That is the reason we're buying it. It's that nostalgic connection to the property itself, to the fact that we've always wanted to live out that fantasy of being a wizard at Hogwarts, and to play a game of this magnitude that's going to do what this game is doing. And that is simply the reason. You cannot box and generalize every single person that's going to pay money to buy this game into the category of being transphobic simply because they're buying the game. It doesn't work like that. It's that simple. And like I said prior, and I'll say it again in case someone misses it, there will be people out there who are transphobic, who are going to buy this game to try and piss off the people that are trying to boycott the game. And there are people that are just going to use this situation in general to spread, whether it's via social media or elsewhere, transphobic hate. I'm not saying that that doesn't exist. That definitely exists. I've seen it. But that's not everyone. And it's a very dangerous thing to generalize everyone into a category like that when not everyone is acting in that same way. Because most of us, believe it or not, are just excited for the game because it's a Wizarding World game and we get to create an avatar and run around Hogwarts, cast spells, fly griffins, you know. It's that simple. And to be completely honest with you, the hypocritical side of things, which I've seen as well, is some of these people that are boycotting the game and being very vocal about it. They're some of the people that I've seen spread the most hateful comments. I've seen a comment directed at someone on Twitter telling them that they're talking about Hogwarts Legacy too much on their Twitter page and they should jump in front of a car. I've seen hateful comments come from both sides, which is just hypocritical in itself. For those that are taking the boycott, if you're then proceeding to spread hateful comments just because someone's not boycotting the game as you like them to. But yeah, I've made my point. And I think it was a very simple point. And I probably spent more time talking about it than I thought I would, to be honest. But I just wanted to be very clear with it, because I think a lot of people will agree with me, and rightfully so. And I just want to try and make it clear to those that are boycotting the game that you don't have to antagonize everyone who's not boycotting the game. You know, some of us who are buying the game, a large majority of us who are buying the game, we don't have a problem with trans people, transgender people. You know, some of us, most of us, large majority of us, are very accepting of all types of people, regardless of, you know, sexuality, gender, race, etc., disability. It's just very unfair to box us all in to the category of transphobia simply for wanting to buy a video game. Like, do you realize how stupid that sounds when you say it out loud? Like, just think about that before, you know, next time you're online and you're about to chastise someone for saying they want to buy the game, or judge someone unfairly that you don't know for wanting to buy this Harry Potter game, one of the biggest IPs in the world. Just think about the fact that, you know, you don't know that person. Unless they've specifically said something that is, you know, transphobic, it's not fair to just automatically label them that simply because they want to buy a Harry Potter game. The first Harry Potter game in over 10 years. That's basically all I wanted to say. You know, that's why I'm buying this game. And I'm very excited for it. And my excitement continues to grow for this game. And it's very close. And I can't wait. And I know many others can't wait. And I'm a big fan of Bully. Bully was one of my favourite games growing up. Rockstar's game Bully, Canis Canum Edit. And it wasn't until the other day that I heard someone mention Bully when talking about this game, and I suddenly made the correlation, and I'm surprised I didn't make the connection myself, but this is going to be a very similar experience, I believe, to Bully, in the sense that you'll get that kind of going to school, going to lessons, aesthetic of the gameplay. And that just made me even more excited, on top of all the other stuff. So, yeah. I think it's going to be a good game. I don't think it'll be a perfect game. I predict score-wise on Metacritic, it'll probably fall around like the 70s, the high 70s, maybe the low 80s, and that's perfectly fine. I don't need every game to be perfect. And the only reason I think it's going to fall around that place on the Metacritic score is because this developer isn't that experienced with making games of this size. But even if it is like a 7 or 8 out of 10, I think I'm still going to really enjoy it. But I'm really looking forward to it anyway. But yeah, thank you for watching this video, taking the time to watch it. Hope you understand my perspective and my point. I think I made it very clear. And once again, like I said, I do not condemn any discrimination of any kind. But I just want to make a point to make it very clear that not all of us are hateful people just because we're buying a Harry Potter game. And it's not like this game is a direct creation of J.K. Rowling's, because she has no direct involvement, and they made that very clear. But anyway, thank you for watching this video. Hit subscribe button if you're new here, because I will be making content about video games, films, etc. But also don't forget to hit the link in the description below and follow my podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, etc. because a lot of my reviews will be dropped on there in long form. And like I said, I've already reviewed Avatar: The Way of Water, The Last of Us Episode 1, and done a few other topics on there, and I'll continue to do so. Dead Space remake is out this week, can't wait for that. I'll be doing coverage of that as well on the podcast and potentially on the channel. So yeah, subscribe to this channel, follow the podcast, hit the notification bell on both so you don't miss any future episodes, and I'll catch you guys soon.